views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program host and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by TCN TV Network Incorporated. Due to the social nature of this broadcasting channel, videos may contain content copyrighted by another entity or person. The TCN TV Network claims no rights to the said content. TCN TV Network cannot be held accountable for the copyrighted content. TCN TV Network is a messenger and sharer of information and strives to verify but cannot warrant the accuracy of copyrights or completeness of the information on this program.
There's a popular quote going around at the moment. The person you will be in 5 years is based on the books you read and the people you hang around with today. This is quite true, but it applies to everything else as well. The person you will be in the future is based on everything you do today, the people you hang around with, but more so the people you listen to, the opinions you believe, the books you read, or the videos you watch. All the information you take in, positive or negative, will affect your future. The workouts you do or don't do, that will show up in the future. The foods you eat today will affect your future on a visual and energy level. The same is true with your thoughts and information. What you feed your mind will shape your future.
Go back into our habits. It's because a lot of the stuff that we learn from these motivational speakers, they've gone through their own self-exploration, their own development, and they're at a place where they're able to do that consistently and stay on that energy level. But for us just trying and just starting to work on our mindset, or even just starting to really learn who we are, it's sometimes a little bit more difficult to do that. So today, I want to actually start providing tools. Anyone who does follow me knows that I speak a lot about trauma. I speak a lot about transgenerational trauma. I speak a lot about mental health issues, depression, anxiety, and it's time that I start really giving you guys things that you can work with. So today I'm here to help you. I don't have my co-host with the most because he's behind the cameras today. So I want you guys, of course, to big up Mr. Dave Rankin, who's not here beside me, but is actually working on the other side. And of course, my lovely assistant, Ms. Jonelle. They're helping me today get this whole thing going for you guys. So let's jump right into our first quote. So, powerful. So a person's mind is so powerful, we can invent, create, experience, and destroy things with thoughts alone. I really want everyone to understand that we only use very little of our minds. If we could really truly understand how powerful this thing between our heads is, our brain, our mind is, and the things that we're capable of doing, we know it's possible because we can see some of the great things other people have done. What the problem is that many of us don't think that we are capable, but all of that happens in here. Again, we can invent, create, experience, and destroy things with this mind. So I want you guys to keep that in mind as we're going through these quotes. As you take these things in, again, definitely anything that pops out to you, document it, write it down. Also, if you have any comments of your own, any power thoughts to be helping with changing the mindset, please put them in our comments below. And of course, I'm going to ask you again to like, share this information, and subscribe. Let's go down to our next quote. If you could throw that up for me, Mr. Dave. This is a very deep one. I actually have this on my Instagram page, and I'm going to take some time to read it, but I want you guys to read along with me. So, self-analysis. Millions of people never analyze themselves. Mentally, they are mechanical products of the factory of their environment, preoccupied with breakfast, lunch, and dinner, working and sleeping, going here and there to be entertained. They don't know what or why they are seeking, nor why they never realize complete happiness and lasting satisfaction. By evading self-analysis, people go on being robots, conditioned by their environment. True self-analysis is the greatest art of progress. How many of us actually truly take the time to analyze ourselves? And I want you guys to think about this. This world is so noisy with social media, with definitely more so than anything, social media. We are always living outside of our bodies. We're never taking the time to really analyze what's happening. For a lot of us, it's fear. Some of us don't want to really look at what's happening inside us, because if you were to look at that, you'd probably have to start taking some responsibility for your behavior, which some people are afraid of doing. But when they talk about living in the rat race, this is exactly what they're talking about. You get up and you have a routine. You get up, you get the children ready for school if you have children. If you don't, you get up, you take care of yourself, you make your coffee, you make your breakfast, you go to work, you come home, you sit in traffic, and it's the same thing in and day out. And a lot of us do not take the time to actually sit back and think, what am I doing? Am I doing what I want to be doing? Is this exactly where I want to be? These are the type of questions that you're supposed to be asking yourself, but many of us do not want to. And it's completely understandable why many of us don't want to. But I really want you guys to start thinking about what's happening here. We can't avoid it forever. Well, you can, but you're going to live a pretty miserable life. So we need to start really thinking about what's happening in here. Let's take a look at our next quote. And this first section is going to be very focused on the mind and what's happening in our mind, okay? So, inner dialogue. After meditating for some years, I begin to see the patterns of my own behavior. As you quiet your mind, you begin to see the nature of your own resistance more clearly. Struggles, inner dialogue, the way in which you procrastinate and develop passive resistance against life. As you cultivate the witness, things change. You don't have to change them. They just change. So, a lot of these quotes that I'm putting up for this first segment are about understanding who you are, understanding why you do the things you do, understanding why maybe in your life things are not working out the way you want them to, understanding why you're picking the people that you have in your life. We'll be doing a segment on company and the company you keep, because that's a very important element of mindset. We're not going to touch that quite yet. Resistance. Resistance is some of the things that you may do and you may almost like co-sign on a daily basis in your behavior because you don't even realize that it's not good for you. You're just doing it because, again, it's happening unconsciously. You're just living. You're not actually living. You're actually just existing. You're just here. The whole purpose of life is to live it. It's to live it fully, to live it wholly. But if you are not aware of what's happening in here, it's impossible for you to live a full life. I have one more quote before we go on break. We have to kind of condense the show today because we don't have a lot of time and we have another show coming on right after us. Quote number 4, we're looking at unhelpful thinking styles. I really want you guys to be targeting these and looking at how these may apply to your life. When a person experiences an unhelpful emotion, unhelpful emotions can be depression, anxiety, even different types of anger, because depression can show up in different ways. Depression can also show up as anger. Usually depression shows up in anger in men and young boys, so it's something for you to think about. It is usually preceded by a number of unhelpful self-statements and thoughts. Often, there is a pattern to such thoughts, and we call these unhelpful thinking styles. One of the things we have noticed is that people use unhelpful thinking styles as an automatic habit. It is something that happens completely out of our awareness. So what do I want to do? What is the purpose of my show today? The purpose of the show today is to help you identify these unhelpful thinking styles, because again, like they're saying, these are unconscious. You don't even know that they're happening. You're wondering why my life is falling apart when it's because of this. It's the way you are thinking. Your mind is controlling everything that happens in your life. Again, a lot of these things can be affected by the environment, which is why I'm talking about this today, because I need you to identify where some of these unhelpful thinking habits are coming from and how you can start rethinking and reprogramming your mind to think differently. If you want better, you can have better, but you've got to think better. If you continue thinking the same way, nothing's going to change for you. And that's just the reality. If you continue to do the same things over and over and over again and expecting for change, you're going to continue in that pattern for the rest of your life. And at the end of it, the only person you have to blame is yourself. And that is a harsh reality that a lot of us have to take in. When we come back, we're going to start actually identifying some of this inner dialogue that's happening. We're going to go a little bit deeper. So we touched the surface of it. We've looked at the mind and how the environment can affect it and how we can just kind of run around unconsciously. When we come back, we're actually going to start identifying some of that inner dialogue that has happened now because of all the stuff that's happening on the exterior. We'll see you soon on Here to Help You.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
My name is Trish Curling, and I am an online coach, personal trainer, and yoga teacher, and your new host of Shaping Life, which is all about understanding that we have the ability and the control to take charge of our health and wellness. But we can't do it alone, and I can't wait to sit down with the best in the industry. Please tune in every Friday at 1 p.m. live here on the TCN Network.
Decide, commit, act, succeed, repeat.
If you want to be an impactful personality, you have to develop certain types of thinking and perceptions that change the way you see yourself and see the world.
No matter what you want to do in life, no matter what your ambition is, that your dreams can come true if you persevere, if you work hard, and if you realize that what you might think is impossible is possible in today's world.
Well, you have to keep yourself focused on whatever your ultimate goal is. There's stumbling blocks all the way. People get laid off, you have a bad game, you get traded from a team that you don't want to be with. But if your goal and your focus remains the same, that hey, this is going to happen, and I know I have the skills and I have the knowledge and I have the instincts to dig myself out of this hole, you will dig yourself out of the hole. You have to control the situation. Don't let the situation control you.
Here to Help You on my TCN TV network. So today, if you are just joining us, we are talking mindset. And I'm not just here, rah, rah, ray, ring. No, that's not what we're doing here today. We are actually breaking down what's happening within your mind. I'm presenting certain pieces or actually certain quotes that bring up some very important points as to what's happening in our minds and as to why maybe we are not moving forward the way we would like to. In our first segment, we were actually looking at the brain itself, our unconscious behaviors, our unconscious thoughts, things that are from our external environment that are causing us to maybe think certain ways. It could be trauma, it could be family. Now we're actually going to dig right into some of the internal dialogue that is happening. So these are some of the things that are actually happening in the mind, things that you're thinking that you don't even realize that you are thinking. So let's jump right into our very next quote. We don't have a whole lot of time. Most of us are totally unaware that our inner conversations are the cause of the circumstances in our life. I'm going to read this one more time. Most of us are totally unaware that our inner conversations are the cause of the circumstances in our lives. So I'm going to actually give an example from my personal life. When I was younger, I had this thought in my head all the time that, you know what, my significant others or boyfriends that I was with, that they were cheating on me. And I would say it so much that guess what ended up happening? A lot of them ended up cheating on me. And honestly, I actually started to create that because of the thoughts that were continuously going through my head. This is my personal example. But I want you to really stop for a minute and think. Really stop and think for a second. What are some of the conversations that you're having in your head that have actually started to manifest in your mind? Think about that. We'll jump into our very next quote. Inner speech, staying on the idea of inner speech. So the inner speech, your thoughts, can cause you to be rich or poor, loved or unloved, happy or unhappy, attractive or unattractive, powerful or weak. So your inner speech has power to do devastating things if you're not careful. You've got to be very aware of what is happening inside. What are you saying to yourself? At the end of this segment, I'm actually going to leave a tool, a very cool tool that you can use to help monitor some of these things that are happening in your brain. I actually gave it to one of my friends who was actually having some issues with some of the things that she was saying to herself. And I asked her certain questions. Once you've taken a look at this list, would you say some of these things to a child? And she said, no, I would never say these things to my child. And I'm like, why do you think it's okay to say it to yourself? Why is it okay to beat up yourself every day? Why is that okay? Once she thought about it and continued to use it, she realized it was actually very helpful. And she's actually started using this with some of her friends. When they come to her, well, she'll be like, look, well, let's stop for a second and take a look at some of the things that you're thinking. What are you saying to yourself? And if you can say some of these things, the things you're saying to yourself, if you're okay with saying them to a child, especially if they're negative, that might be an issue. So start monitoring some of the things that you're actually saying to yourself. So let's go to my next quote. And I believe I sent this one to you. I didn't send the last one to you, Dave. I'm sorry. But this one I sent to you. No one is going to rescue you from yourself, your inner demons, your lack of confidence, your dissatisfaction with yourself and your life. Only self-love and good decisions will rescue you. Many of us, if not all of us, have demons. We all have things about us that are not great. And sometimes these things can overwhelm us. They can, and I can acknowledge that. But one thing I will not acknowledge is the fact that you have to stay there. You are completely responsible for how your life turns out, regardless of the situation you've started in. There are countless examples of people who started with nothing and have ended up with everything. And when I say everything in a sense, let's just talk money. Monetarily, I'm going to say that. When it comes to finances, they've been able to have many riches beyond what they could ever spend, okay? They may not necessarily be happy in their lives, because I can think of other examples where even with all that money, people are still very dissatisfied with themselves and have ended up either harming themselves or harming others. So you've got to understand, at the end of the day, it comes down to you. Regardless of the circumstance you have already been in, it comes down to you. How you want to move forward is up to you, and it's up to this. It's up to what you're saying to yourself. Are you saying to yourself, I'm capable? Are you saying, I can't do that? Are you saying to yourself, I want to do this? Or are you saying, this is not possible? Again, it's all here. It begins and ends. Everything begins and ends in your mind. We have one more quote before we go into our next segment, and it's about limitations. So there is no statute of limitations on starting over. Reinvent yourself every day. Be the girl who walks barefoot and listens to the blues. Tomorrow, wear a trench coat and speak fierce truths. Be a phoenix. Be ashes. Burn down. Resurrect. Let go of the idea that you must always be who you have always been. Again, it goes back to your mind. The limitations that are set by you, boo-boo. Nobody else. It's always you. You determine what your life is going to look at. It's very tough to acknowledge sometimes that you have limiting beliefs. I have had many limiting beliefs in my life. And it's only now when I've started to actually listen to them sometimes and realize that, like, listen, just because someone says you can't, just because I may, again, say to myself that I can't, that doesn't mean that it's true. I've made that true. So it's very important that you start looking at who you are and knowing that you can change. It doesn't matter what you've been through. It doesn't matter what addiction or weakness that you have. You can change, even if you bond down, drop down, make the mistake again and again and again. Every single day that you get up and you can breathe in and out, you can change. So when we get back, what I do want to get into is the fact that in all of this, it's great to start developing your mind. We're at a point now where I'm hoping many of you have started to see that, you know what, yeah, some of this is on me, why I'm where I am, you know. But now that you've realized that, you've got to understand, you've not only developed behaviors, you've developed patterns, and you have gathered people around you to support those behaviors and to support those patterns. So we got to deal with them too. When we come back, we're going to start looking at your circle and how that affects the way you think, behave, and feel. We'll see you soon on Here to Help You.
The hardworking residents of Brampton need an approachable leader. Someone who has the time to listen to their challenges and concerns. Someone who can raise the right issues in the Parliament on their behalf.
Hi, I'm Murari Lal Thapliyal. I'm a proud Bramptonian. Vote for me on October 21st and let me bring the right changes in this city that we proudly call home.
It's time to have a government that will make sure you and your family can get ahead, not just get by. Elect Murari Lal Thapliyal, your Conservative MP candidate for Brampton West, for a happier and stronger Brampton.
Only two things can get you through this, man. That's patience and persistence.
We all aspire, we all have the same emotions.
You know, no matter who you are, where you from, we all have the same emotions. You know, we all want to be successful. You know, we all have the same fears of failure. We all have, this feelings of abandonment. We all, want love. Have such a strong belief in yourself that you can quiet out all the outside noise, because you're gonna need that on every step of the way. There are people that are projecting their fears and their shortcomings and failures on you. And you have to be very careful, with that. People telling you can't do that. Why can't I?
Welcome back to Here to Help You. I wasn't paying attention. So welcome, I know. Thank you, Dave. Welcome back. I usually have someone to cue me. Selena's much better at cueing me, but welcome back, everybody. We are in our third segment on mindsets and the tools that I'm going to provide for you to start thinking and living a much better life and doing it practically. I'm not here again to be a cheerleader. I'm here to first, of course, open your eyes to you. It's very important that I open your eyes to you and then help you start dealing with you on your own level, okay? So we are talking about now your thought circle. So what is your thought circle? Your thought circle is all of those people around you who you call your brethrens, your man them, the friend them, your girls them, all those people. If you are on this path of self-discovery, and on this path of self-discovery, you're noticing that you're elevating. Something you're also going to notice is that if people aren't elevating with you, the conversations are going to start feeling a little bit different. They're going to start sounding a little bit different. You are going to start feeling a little bit different because you've been thinking differently. So I have a couple quotes today to kind of take a look at how this looks and the best way to maybe even deal with it. So first rule of mental health, my very first one. Learn to distinguish who deserves an explanation, who deserves only one answer, and who deserves absolutely nothing at all. Some people you do not have to explain your changes to. Yes, they may have been your friend for a long time. Yes, they may be family. But guess what, guys? Just because they're friends and family, they've been in your life for so long, they may not understand your path because you guys have different paths. And unless they're wanting to take that path with you, it's a little bit different. You can't force someone. And this is something I had to realize the hard way, is you can't force somebody to think the way that you do. You can't. They're just not there yet. And just because you may have to say pause to someone for a minute, it may not be forever, but in that moment, sometimes you just can't be around them. And you have to be okay with that. You've got to be strong enough to be able to walk on your own. Because if you decide to stay with them, all this work that you're doing on your mental may just stay right where it is because you're surrounding yourself still with that same circle. I really like this one that I have coming up. It's about a shark. So, a shark in a fish tank will grow 8 inches, but in an ocean, it will grow 8 feet or more. The shark will never outgrow its environment, and the same is true about you. Many times we are around small thinking people, so we don't grow. Change your environment and watch yourself grow. I really appreciate this one because, well, it goes back to everything I was just saying. And it's true. If you surround yourself with small thinking people, you will remain small. I'm sorry, there's nothing you can do about it. I don't care if they're your best friend from 10, 20 years ago. If you've decided to go on this path, you're going to grow. And you're going to have to be okay with saying, look, bye, peace, deuces. I can't do this with you anymore. You've got to be okay with that. If not, you're going to live the same life you've always lived. So you've got to learn to be that bigger shark. You need to think about being that 8-foot instead of 8-inch shark. Okay? Let's go to my next one, which is about loving self. So when I loved myself enough, I began to leave whatever wasn't healthy. This meant people, jobs, my own beliefs and habits, anything that kept me small. My judgment called it disloyal. Now I see it as self-loving. So why I thought this was interesting was because sometimes, and it's normal, when you have to leave people behind, it's like, oh, they're not loyal, you're not being loyal. It's not that you're not being loyal. It's just you are loyal to yourself more. And that's okay. You have to be okay with that. It's okay to love yourself. It's like if someone is making you feel bad for wanting to take care of you and do better, they are not supposed to be in your life anyways. You got to look at it like that. If you're trying to keep me down, you're not supposed to be my friend. Period. If you want me to stay where you are, you're not for me. Now, if they want to join you, perfect. That's wonderful if they want to join you. But if they don't, you got to be okay with letting people go. It has to be okay. And this is probably the hardest part about growth, is outgrowing people. But it's a part of life. You outgrew shoes. You outgrow friends. It's life. You got to be okay with that. The last one for this segment is about being dysfunctional. So we're going to talk about how being raised in a dysfunctional household causes you to choose horrible romantic partners. Because I have the time to talk about this. This is true. Our environment determines so much about us. And you might be wondering, why do I keep picking these bad guys? Why are these wrong guys? Why do all these wrong guys come to me? What are you giving off? What are you used to? What are you attracting to you because of your thoughts, your actions, your beliefs? These are things you have to look at again. Remember I said it all begins and ends with you. So if you notice this habit, this is something I had to pick up on myself as well when I was going through my dating mishaps. I was getting the same type of guy. Why? And I don't even come from a dysfunctional family. Like my family, I wouldn't see as being dysfunctional. I come from your I guess you would call your nuclear family, mom, dad, dog, brother, like that nuclear family. But I still had my dysfunction, and I had to figure that out myself. But what about those who come from dysfunctional families? What are you attracting? What are you bringing in? What do you believe your worth is? That's what's very important. What do you believe that you personally are worth? Do you think you're worth nothing just because you come from dysfunction? Is that a thought that's gone through your head, so you just think that you have to settle for any Joe Blow that comes into your life? People, some of these things are not easy to think about, and I get it. I understand. But I am here to work with those people who are ready to make real change. It is possible. It doesn't mean you're not going to make mistakes, because you're human. So don't forget that you're still human, and I don't want you to be too hard on yourself. But if you are committed to growth, I am telling you, it is one of the most powerful, remarkable, amazing things I have personally ever gone through. And I can tell you, the moment I started changing this, everything in my life changed. When we get back, we're going to look at how when you begin to change yourself, it's actually better for the people around you. And if they got that, they would just let you grow. We'll see you soon on Here to Help You.
Yo, this is Conscience, and you're watching my TCN TV network. Peace.
My name is Trish Curling, and I am an online coach, personal trainer, and yoga teacher, and your new host of Shaping Life, which is all about understanding that we have the ability and the control to take charge of our health and wellness. But we can't do it alone, and I can't wait to sit down with the best in the industry. Please tune in every Friday at 1 p.m. live here on the TCN Network.
committed, because without commitment, nothing happens. You have to be committed through the storm and the rain and the heartache and the pain and the disappointment, or you're not gonna make it. It's a commitment. It's not a feeling. While they was golfing, I was studying. While they was shooting hoops, I was studying. While they was playing games and sitting up and eating and joking in the restaurant, I was studying. You can't get out of something that you're not willing to put into it. You have to put your everything, your mind, your energy, your effort, your discipline, your tenacity. Nothing is going to jump out the fire if you don't throw something in there. It's not going to happen. But if we fight every day, one of them days is going to be my day.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Here to Help You on my TCN TV network. I want to thank you guys for hanging in there with me. I'm definitely interested to see what you guys have to say about the show. I'm going to be hitting and going deeper into this more and more. But if you do need to, if you have any questions about changing mindset and how that looks without, again, all the cheerleading, definitely you can DM me at Simone Jennifer Smith on every platform. I'm on every platform at Simone Jennifer Smith. Instagram, Facebook. You can also find me at Here to Help You on Instagram. Here is spelled H-E-A-R, and it's not 2 as in T-O, but the number 2, okay? So let's wrap this up really quickly. Now I'm going to help you guys understand that the more you change, the better you are for your community. Let's talk about changing yourselves, that first quote there. I alone cannot change society for the better, but I can radically transform my own consciousness, overturning the conditioning that limits my potential. We can all do this one by one. Over time, we can change ourselves to the degree that society changes from the inside out, giving birth to a new way of being, manifesting our birthright of living in a peaceful and abundant world. Have no fear. Trust yourself. Live your full potential. It is interesting how I see, I'll see many community leaders out here pushing to, they're talking about change and they want us to change, especially us as the African Caribbean community. We talk change and how we need to make all this change and change and change. And I sit back sometimes and I'm like, what changes have you made inside you that you're talking about change? Because the change has to start inwardly. You don't even got to talk about change. My dad likes to say, he always used to say to me, Simone, always think about this when you go on the street. Can the world see Jesus in you? Now, you can input Jesus with anything. Can people see the good in you? Because if people can see the good in you, that stuff is very, what's the word I'm looking for? Not addictive. I can't even think of the word. That's terrible. Not osmosis. What's the word, Dave? Not diffusion. Basically, if you are a certain way, it'll get out. I guess you could say diffuse. You could, but that's not the word that I'm looking for today. But if people can see that in you and see that, it can also implement change. So it starts with individual people, okay? Let's go to our next one. So it starts with you. When you start taking care of yourself, you start feeling better, you start looking better, and you start to attract better. It all starts with you. If you're asking for change, you have to understand that it has to begin. You can't expect people to change outwardly. You cannot. And if you really believe that changing other people, first of all, do you know how hard it is to change yourself? Much less trying to change people outside of you. Do you know how difficult that is? Let's go on to this understanding of, okay, so I've made the changes, I've fallen back, what do I do? What I want to say to you is you are not stuck. Never think you are stuck. You are just committed to certain patterns of behavior because they helped you in the past, which is normal. Now, these behaviors have become more harmful than helpful. The reason why you cannot move forward is because you keep applying an old formula to a new level in your life. Change the formula, you get different results. That's pretty straightforward. I don't think I need to explain that one. If, again, I'm understanding of the idea of you being a certain way because you've always been that way. But if you're deciding to change and level up your way of thinking, you cannot still be at that level. You can't still be vibrating where you were, because what's going to happen is you're just going to come back down to there again. You've got to make changes. Everything is, I don't care how comfortable it may be, and even if it's worked for you before, think of it like this. Facebook, Instagram, they have algorithms. When the algorithms change, if you were doing really well as a social media marketer, you're going to probably have to change the things that you did before because they won't work with the new algorithms. Think of yourself like that. You are a whole bunch of different algorithms. As your algorithms change, you got to change the way that you are marketing yourself to yourself. So kind of think of it like that. Let's go to the mentally strong one. I want to leave some quick things for you to really think about today. So, how to be mentally strong. Don't fear alone time. Alone time allows you to really think, so don't fear that. Don't dwell on the past. If you dwell on the past, you're never going to look at your future. You cannot dwell on who you were, the mistakes you've made, even if they were just yesterday. Don't dwell on those. Don't feel that the world owes you. The world don't owe you shit, okay? Everyone's gone through some bad things. Everyone's experienced trauma. You are not entitled. Again, the responsibility is on you. Don't expect immediate results. This can be a real crippler for people because sometimes you'll say, well, I've been doing this for 5 months now and I'm not seeing it. Okay, and don't get discouraged. Nothing happens overnight. Nothing's gonna happen immediately. You've gotta stay focused. Don't worry about pleasing everyone. I'm telling you right now, give up on that. You're never gonna be able to please everybody. Don't waste time feeling sorry for yourself. Woe is me. You made some mistakes. You've been through some hard times. Again, so have many other people, sometimes even more and to a larger extent. And again, I'm not saying that to say that what you're feeling is not credible or not something to take into account, but you cannot stay there. You cannot stay in the victim mode. It's not helpful. It doesn't get you anywhere. Don't waste energy on things you cannot control. So in relationships, some of us feel like we can control what other people are doing. Give it up. You can't. People are going to do what they want to do regardless of what you say. So give that up. The more you try to do that, the more disappointed and more anxious you're going to feel. Don't let others influence your emotions. This is very difficult, but I love when my students come to me and they say, oh, she made me feel this way. She makes me so mad. I'm like, oh, she makes you, so she's a puppeteer. She can control how you feel. Stop giving up your power to other people. Don't do that. Stop letting other people influence how. If you're gonna feel something, feel it because you want to feel it, not because someone's made you feel it. Don't resent on other people's success. Just because other people are doing well, don't go on Instagram and watch people's pages. Stop that. Stop comparing yourself. This is something I had to work on hard on myself. So stop comparing myself to everybody else because they are not me and I am not them. Don't shy away from responsibility. Take responsibility for you, your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings. Take responsibility for who you are and where you are in your life. Don't give up after the first failure. This goes right back to the whole idea of don't expect immediate results. Just because you try something and fails, okay, next, try something else. Don't keep repeating the same mistake over again. That's insanity. Don't do that. Don't fear taking calculated risks. This means that, you know what, if you do something and it doesn't work well the first time, don't just say, you know what, I'm not going to do this again. My very last thing for you guys today, and I want to thank you guys for hanging in there with me, is the rule. There's actually a 2190 rule. And I want you to think about this, okay? It takes 21 days to build a habit and 90 days to build a lifestyle. So it takes under 3 weeks to actually establish a habit and 3 months to make that an actual behavioral pattern. So So I want you to think about that, because that can work in the positive way or in the negative way. Guys, I want to thank you for taking the time to go through all this. And when you get a second, go back and review some of these. Take a look and see how they've played out in your life, how they're currently playing out in your life. If you have any questions, feel free, of course, to DM me, Facebook, Instagram. You can find us on My TCN TV network on Facebook, also on our website. Please, guys, I really want for you to do and be your absolute best. It's worked. I'm telling you it's worked. It continues to work for me. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy, but it doesn't mean it's impossible. You guys have a wonderful Tuesday afternoon, and we'll see you next week on Here to Help You.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity in our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.